Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I'm back with another scrapbooking process video. Today is scrap 5 for November. We needed to use a photo of someone you're thankful for, ribbon, Nuvo drops or enamel dots, a stamp, and circles. So that's a super fun recipe. I am starting out by just trying to get my page together. I'm using photos, just group shots of me, Becca, my mom, and Bennett. This is for the first page in Avery's baby album. It might be the second page depending on if I can get my hands on his ultrasound pictures, but I just wanted to document kind of the pictures I had of my sister while she was pregnant, just so you can see her little belly grow. So I have 4 photos here that I scrounged up basically from our holiday group shots over the past year. So I have our Thanksgiving picture, our Christmas picture, our wedding picture for my mom's group shot, and then a picture I took of Becca and Bennett at Easter. So that's when she was roughly 4 months, 5 months, 7 months, and 8 months along. That way you can kind of track her progress. I didn't really have any other pictures of just her showing off her bumps, but I wanted something so that Avery could kind of see her pregnancy. So that's the goal for this page. I really wanted to do a grid layout. I really love doing these. I've done a couple of them in the past, and they're just really fun to compose. It's a simple grid, but I really like doing kind of different layers on each photo, but still making them cohesive. So that's what I'm working on. I decided to use this kind of plain minty background to work from because I knew I was going to bring in lots of other papers and colors. So I'm just trying to figure out what I want layer wise. I'm thinking I will use this scrap of pink I have from a previous layout. I want to pull in some of the mustard cut aparts and then just a few other layers I had from this paper pad. This is a new paper pad that you've seen a couple layouts from it, but it is Recollections Harvest Meadow paper pad. And I really wanted to use it for some of Avery's baby pictures, so I'm glad I got it used on this one. I do have my kit for this month to the side. I'm kind of hoarding my last couple sheets for some other layouts, but I will be pulling in the ink pad that was included in that collection because it's blue, and I really think a lot of these papers will look good with some blue trim around them. A couple of the papers I'm not inking, just like this navy piece, and the photo itself I'm not inking, but you'll see when I get to some of the lighter layers and like the mustard, I think it looks good inked in blue, and I'm going to end up inking the entire layout too. But that's a little bit farther down the line. I haven't realized I'm going to do that yet. I'm just trying to make sure the layers that I'm composing seem balanced. So you can see they all kind of have a gold element. A couple of them have that peachy pink. I have this mustard tag on one photo, so on the photo that's opposite, I'm also pulling in a mustard element, so I have that banner down there that says thankful, so I think those look really nice. I'm going to pull in, I think there's like a tanny white kind of more neutral layer I'm going to matte everything in just to kind of round them all out. They now all have this navy layer, and I think having the tan layer as well kind of helps it all look cohesive. This one photo is still looking a little bit plain. Actually, this photo in the corner, the photo opposite, we're looking a little plain, so I do go in and add a scrap of the peachy layer that I have matted around the other two, just so there is a little bit of pink in each of the layers too. I just wanted a paper layer going all the way around these photos before they got onto this navy matte, just so the proportions looked the same across all of the photos. And then this mustard tag has a really nice sentiment on it, and I knew it would be covered by the photo, so I'm just going to trim that out and save it for another layout just so I don't waste that part of the designed area of the tag. But I think this yellow tag looks really nice behind this photo, so I'm going to get that glued down. And then I think I need my tan layer, and then most of my paper layers will be done. Really, the only part of my recipe I have so far are the photos of someone I'm grateful for. I'm definitely grateful for my family, so I feel like that box is ticked. You can see this mustard ribbon I pulled in. It's from Allie, and I thought that yellow would look really good with this collection. I thought ribbon being on this recipe was a really good chance for me to use that. So I'm planning on getting that yellow trim on the page as my ribbon element. I need to do stamping. I need to do circles. I'm not too worried about the Nuvo drops or the enamel dots because I know I can pull those in at the end for a finishing touch. I'm assuming I can find a color that goes with this page, so I'm not too worried about that, but I am trying to remind myself as I'm going, like, you need to figure out the circle and the stamping element, so I'm trying to think about that as I keep working, but for now I'm just going to keep trucking with the design I have, keep layering. It's a lot of measuring, cut, repeat, because I have 4 photos that I'm doing similar mats on, so it's really just getting all of that together. There's that gold and white layer I was thinking about adding, or I did add to a couple of the photos, so I was trying to decide if I wanted to add any more of that, but I kind of like the balance we've struck right now. I don't want any one paper layer to be too dominant, just because I want there to be several layers on each photo, and there's already 4 photos, so I'm trying to keep it pretty clean and streamlined so that it doesn't get too overwhelming. But this is when I decided to go in with that ink pad. I've really enjoyed using this ink pad this month, and I think that blue looks really nice with this collection too. So you can just see I'm stamping that along the edge of the paper and I'll do that with a couple of the layers on the photo too, but just getting that done. That's the stone blue color from Catherine Pooler. I love that ink pad, and I have decided I definitely need to go and get some more ink pads, because I really realized this month that I will use them if I have them. So super happy about that. But now that that's inked, getting my photos back down, I'm trying to decide if my layering is done, but I really kind of want one more layer just to add to the look. It still looks a little bit too plain with how the layers are now, so I'm going to go in and grab just a pretty simple tan and white pattern, and it's just going to be a skinny mat around all of these, and that way when I ink the edge you can actually see it, because I don't think you'd see the inked edge too well on the navy pattern, so this just gives you a little bit extra. So I'm cutting all of those to the same size. That also helps me when I line up all of these photos. I know that they're going to make this clean grid. The past couple times when I've done this design, I didn't really care if all of the photos were exactly the same, because all of the photos had different types of layering. I just wanted them to be roughly around the same size, but I really wanted this version to be a little bit cleaner, and making sure that final layer is the same size really helps you with lining everything up and making it look kind of crisp. So now I'm just going through and inking all of those, and then I will layer all of those photos on that as well. I'm thinking for the stamping, well, I did want to incorporate the ink pad by inking, but I didn't really want to consider that as my stamping, so I want to actually stamp as well. I decided I would just pull in a couple hearts from my Felicity Jane stamp set and use those to do a little bit of embellishment on the diagonal. And then for my circle element, I was thinking I can pull in some of those pink sequins, circle sequins that Allie sent me. I think the pink would look really sweet on this page too. So I've already noticed, I've only done a couple pages for Avery's baby album, but the blue, yellow, and pink has kind of been a running theme so far. And even though he's a boy, and I think there's enough blue on these pages where a little pop of pink is just really sweet and makes it more baby-ish. So hopefully he won't mind that there's pink sequins on his page. But Becca's wearing a kind of a pinky coral shirt in one of those photos. I have that little pink layer in a couple of the photos, so I think it goes well. So now that those layers are all down, I'm going to go ahead and get the ribbon on. I'm really trying to focus on my recipe now, because I've realized that I really only have one thing from my recipe on the page so far. So I'm just trimming the yellow trim, adding some Tombow Mono Multi, letting it dry a little bit so it gets tacky. That way if I need to move it around a little bit, it's not going to smear that glue. So while that glue is semi-drying, I'm going to go ahead and glue down my grid. I'm pretty happy with the photo or the paper layers, so I'm going to go ahead and commit and glue all of those down. And then I think about doing the ribbon just on one side and maybe something else on the other, but you'll see that I end up running the ribbon down both sides, and I really like that. I think it frames the grid nicely, especially because everything is pretty symmetrical so far. I usually don't like symmetrical pages, so I'll do a couple things to kind of give it a little bit of interest. Like there's the tag on one side and the banner on the other, and I like that when you have a symmetrical page, having a few elements that kind of make it break up the monotony a little bit. So I get this one ribbon down. I'm just going to glue it over the edge to the back and then add some washi on top of it to help keep it secure. And then I'll do that on the other side too, you'll see. So I really should have looked at my enamel dots beforehand. I really thought I had like mustard enamel dots, but I think I'd used them all, and the mustard or the yellow I had was a very like bright yellow that did not go with the yellow that was already on this page. So and I didn't even have like a navy really, or like a I don't know, I think this really popular color. I've been using this enamel dots a lot that I'm just out, so I ended up changing gears and using Nouveau drops instead, but you'll see me go through my enamel dot stash too. But I'm doing the same thing for the trim on the other side. I'm letting that glue get a little bit tacky before I stick it down, so while that's drying off to the side, I'm going to go ahead and put my title down. I decided to use these little navy foam alphas and I think they're super cute. I really wanted to pull in some more navy, and I'm just going to title it Pregnancy at the top and then Watching You Grow along the bottom. I'm also going to use the numbers on that alpha sheet to put the whichever month it is on each photo. So I hope that makes sense. I was hoping by it saying Pregnancy and Watching You Grow that the numbers would kind of hopefully be obvious that it's the month of her pregnancy where the photo was taken. So you'll see I do a 4 on the 4-month pregnancy photo, which was Thanksgiving, and then 5 months for Christmas, and so on. So that was my thinking. I definitely wanted to have somewhere how pregnant she was in each photo. So got the pregnancy down. I'm going to go ahead and use the colon just so you know the title's not done, and then I'll do Watching You Grow along the bottom. And I think that's a nice, sweet title. I didn't have any E's, so I did have to take an F and make an E for pregnancy. But I really love that with these foam alphas. It's really easy to make the letters that you want, and you can't really tell in the end that you had to finagle some of them. So hopefully that's not too distracting. And then doing Watching You Grow on the bottom. And so at this point, I still have to do Nouveau drops, stamps, and circles. So I'm going to revisit that once I get the title down. But I'm slacking on my recipe so far. I kind of was like, all right, I can do this recipe. And then I got going on the design and was like multiple times during this process, like, oh my gosh, I still have to get all of this on my page. So I'll get the title down and then I'll focus again on my recipe. But I think that looks nice. I like that the foam alpha is kind of top and bottom of the layout. I think that helps keep it balanced, and I like that that navy is kind of added on either side of the page. And then this is where I'm going in with the numbers, and I decided just to put them on an inner corner of each photo so you can kind of see where those are. And then I think I'm done with those. I do want to have something kind of next to the pregnancy at the top. It looks kind of open over there, especially since I added the colon. It's like something's missing. So I'll go in with the sequins and kind of add some sequin areas. But it was bothering me that my tag and the little banner at the bottom didn't have any twine. So I just added some gold and white twine in both of those since I have some gold elements. And this is where I'm going through my enamel dot stash. I did find some arrows and some triangles in a color that I would have loved to use, but I didn't know how specific the enamel dot was in the recipe. I didn't know if I could use enamel shapes or if it needed to be a dot. And I decided just to play it safe and do Nouveau drops. That way I just knew I did the recipe correctly. But I did think about using maybe some of those navy arrows or something, but I realized I don't really have any enamel shapes in the color I want, so I switched gears and decided to stamp first. And I'm using this awesome stamping platform that Ronnie sent me. It's really been a game changer with me getting better stamping, because now I can double stamp and position exactly where I want, and if I don't get enough ink on there, I can just stamp again in the exact same spot, and that's really been awesome. So This first stamp didn't really get the full color that I wanted, so I just stamped again, and this tool helps you pick up and put down that stamp in the exact same spot, so that really is going to help me with my stamping for sure. So I just did a couple hearts up there by the title, and then I'm going to do some in the opposite corner by the banner, just so there's stamping in different areas. And I really like that it pulls in that ink color into more areas, because you can see that ink color around the edge of the page, but adding these stamps in the background really help pull it out. So I'm glad I have these little hearts in a couple areas. I think they turned out really cute. I just love this tool. It's really been helping me get braver with stamping on my layouts. So thank you, Ronnie. So now that I have my stamping down, that's another recipe item that is ticked off. And now I need to figure out my circles and figure out my Nuvo drops. So I don't have a huge Nuvo drop stash. I used to use them a lot more, and then I've kind of gotten back into my Enamel Dots. But I love Nuvo drops, and I've been having issues with a couple of the colors because they're just old, and I don't know if it's because right now my scrap room is colder, but they haven't been forming those nice round blobs that look like enamel dots. They've kind of been stiff and creating these little peaks. So you'll kind of see in the end, I wanted you to see before I smushed them down how they were looking. So you'll see that in the close-up videos. They're forming these little like mountain peaks that look like Hershey Kisses instead of a nice round blob. So that's kind of why I've been avoiding using Nuvo drops lately. If you have that issue and it's not because they're old or at the wrong temperature, you can actually contact the company and they'll send you a new bottle. I've done that in the past when I got a new bottle and it was acting like that, but these are kind of old, so I'm pretty sure it's kind of the end of the bottle, so I'm pretty sure it's a me issue and not a product issue, but that's why I haven't been using them as often. But I did want to show you what they were looking like in the close-ups. But what I do is once they are mostly dry, or even all the way dry, honestly, I take something hard and flat like my stamping platform, or even like a plastic ruler or something, and I use that to push and put pressure down on top of those points and kind of smush them flat. And a lot of the times you can get them to look more round and not like these little mountain peaks that I have on this layout. But that's just a tip for that. If you guys have any tips on how to deal with that, or if you have that issue and have found a way to correct it, please let me know, because I feel like I'm not using my Nuvo drops as often as I used to because I've been having that issue. But anyways, I got my little Nuvo drops on, and now I'm going in with these super cute little sequins from Allie. These are the honeybee stamp embellishments. They're ballet slipper confetti mix, and I think they're really, really cute. And I just decided to do this kind of bubbly look in a couple of the open areas to add a little bit more glimmer, but those I'm considering are my circles for the challenge, and I'm sticking to it. So I now officially have my whole recipe. I think this page turned out super fun. It's different for me. I do love this grid design. I've done it in the past, but keeping it more clean and crisp and symmetrical is new. But I love all the different textures that are on here. You have the trim and the sequins and the stamps and twine and foam and enamel dots, or Nuvo drops, I guess, and I just love how all of those textures and colors kind of came together. So here are the close-ups. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you check out everyone else playing along with Scrap5 to see what they did with this recipe, and if you want to play along, just hashtag Scrap5 on Instagram so we can see. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.